What we are grappling with is not necessarily the 2% per se. What we are grappling with, given the challenges and priorities that we are facing, how do we fund them?
South Africa is on the brink of an economic storm. The government's hidden VAT hike plans could trigger inflation, rising interest rates, and a collapsing economy, all while citizens struggle to make ends meet. This is a ticking time bomb they don't want you to know. Welcome to Inkari It's Time, where we uncover the truth and empower you with knowledge to navigate life with purpose. I'm Kondos, and today we are exposing the shocking consequences of the VAT increases that was quietly buried in the 2025 budget. The National Treasury's plan to hike VAT from 15% to 17% may have been shelved for now, but make no mistake, this is a warning sign of what's coming. And if it happens, South Africans won't see the interest rate cuts we were hoping for. Instead, our financial burdens will get worse. The hike might not sound like much, but stick with me. This could trigger a chain reaction that hits everything from your wallet to the country's economic future. Let's break it all down. What's the VAT hike about? The value-added tax, or VAT, is that sneaky little tax you pay on almost everything. Groceries, clothes, fuel, you name it. Right now, it's at 15%, but the shelved 2025 budget proposed bumping it up to 17%. That plan's on hold for now, but economists are already sounding the alarm bell about what could have happened and what might still happen if it gets revived. Spoiler alert, it's not just about higher prices at the till. Businesses passing the ghost to you. When VAT goes up, businesses raise prices to cover their expenses, making life harder for ordinary South Africans. Reduced consumer spending. With everything costing more, your money buys less, slowing down the economy.
Really, that's a debate. Do we borrow more? What are the implications of that? Do we continue cutting expenditure? What are the implications of that? Do we raise tax? What are the implications of that? There's general agreement that in the current environment, we need to find a way of funding our priorities. The debate is what is the best way of doing it?
Inflation goes up, and so could interest rates. First up, inflation. The Bureau for Economic Research, or BER, crunched the numbers. They say a 2% VAT hike could push consumer inflation up by about 1 percentage point. So instead of, say, 4.2% inflation in January, we'll be looking at 5.2%. That's a big deal. Higher inflation means everything gets pricier. Food, rent, transport, you name it. That means the South African Reserve Bank might not just sit back and watch. The BER warns that if inflation spikes, the South African Reserve Bank could hike the repo rate. You know, the interest rates that affect your loans and mortgages. So instead of those rate cuts we have been hoping for, we might get hikes. Ouch! Borrowing money will become more expensive, meaning higher loan and mortgage repayments. So who really benefits from a VAT hike? 1. Government gets more revenue, while the working class suffers the most. 2. Big corporations pass the costs down, while small businesses struggle to survive. 3. Ordinary South Africans pay the price literally.
A pro-growth budget doesn't hurt the poorest of the poor. A pro-growth budget doesn't increase the burden on the middle class. A pro-growth budget looks at those key elements that are required and reforms that are required to get the economy moving forward in a more bold way.
Investors could run for the hills. It gets worse. South Africa has been begging for foreign investment to kickstart the economy. Think jobs, infrastructure, growth. But investors hate uncertainty and inflation. A VAT hike pushing prices up could scare them off. Why sink money into a country where costs are climbing and returns are shakier? Foreign investors might lose confidence in South Africa's economy, making it even harder to attract funding for economic recovery. The BER's modeling suggests this could slash our hopes of getting the funding we need to turn things around. Less investment, slower growth. It's a vicious cycle. The domino effect. Let's connect the dots. A VAT hike to 17% doesn't just mean paying more for bread or petrol. It's a domino effect. Prices rise across the supply chain. Inflation ticks up. The Reserve Bank tightens the screws with higher interest rates, and investors back away. Oh, and don't forget, higher interest rates mean your car loan, your home loan, even your credit card debt gets more expensive. This isn't just a tax tweak. It's an economic gut punch.
We are vehemently opposed to any form of tax increases for the simple reason that South Africans are already overburdened. So whether it's income tax, corporate tax, or value-added tax, we cannot afford any more taxes. And the other reality that we're faced with is we need to focus on creating a budget that is focused and addresses the core concerns around growth for the economy and creating jobs. And we need to have an efficient state that supports those two things. And at the moment, we've been given no option for how we can think of a more efficient state, how we can make our spending more rational without an austerity budget. And it's a false dichotomy that's being presented to us, saying either we punish South Africans with more tax or we punish South Africans with less services. The fact of the matter is we all know that the state is inefficient and poorly run, and we should focus our energy there.
Yeah. Can you break down for me what you foresee as, I suppose, the trickle-down effect of even a 0.75% VAT increase, right? What the knock-on effect would be?
I can give you the economic answer in a moment, but the short answer is nobody can afford it. The fact of the matter is South Africans aren't able to afford any more tax. That is not the problem. A good way of understanding this is that the 95 Nelson Mandela government, if you take the budget that they had and you inflation adjust it to 2025 money, their budget was a third of the size of the budget being proposed at the moment. We simply do not have a revenue problem. We have an expenditure problem. Now, the answer to your question on the economic impact, we have done some light modeling which would indicate a 2% VAT increase. We could have up to a 1.7% inflation increase. So if you work back from 2% to 0.75, you might come out to just shy of 1% on inflation. Now remember that the Reserve Bank, although it's independent from government, there's an expectation in the market that this year there would be 2 rate decreases, meaning our interest rates come down, there's more money flowing around in the economy. If we are close to 1% inflation, there's no way a reasonable Reserve Bank could decrease interest rates, because that would fuel further inflation. So the reality is our interest rates will go up, our economy will contract further, and most importantly, we still wouldn't have addressed the root cause, which is a government that doesn't spend efficiently.
Part of it is that they are not just charging VAT, they are also paying VAT elsewhere, and they might just take that into account. And if they do that and it perpetuates, the central bank has to react to that. But if it is just a once-off shock and we do not see prices continuing to rise as a result of that VAT increase, there is no need for the central bank to respond.
The VAT hike might not be in the final budget, but make no mistake, this idea is not dead. If the economy worsens, the government could bring it back at any time. And when they do, you will be the one paying for it. What do you think? Should South Africa raise VAT to 17%? Do you think this will help or hurt the economy? Could South Africa handle this? Or is it a disaster waiting to strike? Let's discuss in the comments below. If this story got you thinking, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell for more. We are all in this economy together, so let's stay informed. Let's keep digging into what matters. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching and take care.